Hello everybody, Rogue Fox here, and welcome back to another episode of Endergate. This is episode 10, and last episode, I told you that I would be working on the farmland. So the goal was to do a lot of decorating and just some upgrades in between episodes, and I have done that. So if you take a look behind me here, what I've done is added a bunch of coarse dirt into the poppy field because it was looking good originally, but if we take a look over here, what I've done is added on an extra wheat field. So in between the wheat fields, I have all of this coarse dirt with a bit of grass. So as I mentioned, this is the farmlands. This is where the workers will be working. So the plan is to get villagers here at some point. Don't know when that's going to be, but until then, we're just going to use our imagination. So this is where the wheat fields are. So in between here, this is where the workers come in between. So it is a beaten path, as you can tell. So all that was looking good. Everything was looking good. We'll get to that in just a second. But then I look over to the poppy field, and it was just a little too green for me. So we had all this coarse dirt all over the place. It was looking awesome. And then over here, it was just too green. So if we take a look, right down the middle here, I kind of added another beaten path. I added a little tent for the workers to hang out. And that doesn't belong there. I just had some iron I needed to smelt. But throughout the field, we have just patches of coarse dirt. Just kind of break up the texture so it's not so green. And yeah, I think it came out pretty good. I think a couple episodes ago, I asked about help on how to decorate this dock. Now, one of you had mentioned placing in barrels, so I wasn't sure how to do that. So I thought the best way to find a barrel was, of course, watching Good Times with Scar. And in his little pirate cave that he had some barrels. It was filled with gold. And I haven't watched Hermitcraft in quite a while, but I do remember that from the beginning. So I went ahead and checked that out. So I added some decorations here. So what we have are a couple of barrels. I still have my chest. Move one of the pots over here. And I figured, hey, I'm going to leave this ender chest here. I can always make more. So I still have access to resources in this area. And as I cross the water, maybe I'll probably have another ender chest over there. But I thought it just kind of added to the decoration here. And what we have, I wasn't sure what to do with this corner. So I added, I guess, a kelp block right here with some trapdoors on the side. Not quite sure how I feel about that one. I was just trying to kind of fill it in. And if we take a look from up here, yeah, everything is coming together. As we pan this way, we have our poppy field, and definitely adding that coarse dirt in there helped the texture out a lot. I'm really proud of that. And as we move this way, we have our trails, of course, all the palm trees I've been placing in. And then, yeah, this area is looking really, really full. I'm super excited about it. We have our boat over here. We have our pile of wood that they're using to construct boats. And yeah, like I said, I'm not really a creative builder. This is my first time actually creating things and building them. So definitely a step out of my comfort zone, but I must say I'm quite enjoying myself. Now, the only thing about that is we have so much work to do here, and we're about 3 months into the series already. This is episode 10, but I did miss a couple of weeks. So I don't want it to get boring for you, and I don't want to fizzle out just trying to work on this farmlands the whole time. So there is work that still needs to be done over here, and if we come back over here, this is where it all began. We have our little villager house here. That's going to be the base for a little village over there, our little farming village. And this is where it all happened over here, this little farmland. I thought this was such a big project, and we don't have diamond tools, and we don't have enchantments on diamond tools. Yeah, this is actually quite a bit of work. But if we take a look over here, there is a lot that needs to be done still. So I just looked at this the other day as I was decorating. So I'm not quite sure if I'm going to get to this, maybe further on down the road. I would really like to move to the other side here. Like I said, I just don't want to spend too much time working on this area. But for what it's been, only, a couple days a week working on this thing, I think it's coming together quite nicely, I must say. And as we head on this way, I'll show you what I did yesterday. Now, going back to not wanting to spend too much time, so a thing about me, and I think it's like an oxymoron, but I'm like a perfectionist, but then I'm also lazy. So a lazy perfectionist. But by that I mean, I have this idea, like I want to do a project, and I'm like, yeah, I'm like all excited to do something, and then I get into it, and I'm working hard, and just some point I'm kind of like, yeah, it just needs to be done. I just need to finish it. So that is a bad habit that I have, not just in Minecraft, but life in general. I'll just start something, I'll start strong, and they're like, meh, I'm satisfied. So yeah, going to this, everything is looking amazing. I'm really proud of the building that I've done here, but at the same time, it's kind of like, I just want to be done with it. I just want to be done. I want to move on and do a new project. So coming over here, I added just some more decorations, so a couple barrels right there once again, and then we have this pile of wood that is kind of just hanging out here for whatever they need, so making their fences, or I guess the houses that we're going to make out of wood too. But yeah, I mean, this is looking really good. So just kind of like a little break in the texture here. We have a lot of trees, we have a lot of trails. I needed something else, which is why I threw that little shade tent thing there, which is, I guess it's not a tent, but overhang, gazebo, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Just a little place where they can get out of the sun from working in the fields all day. And then as we come down the road, like I said, just have some decorations just to break things up here. And of course, this will lead down somewhere, either this road or a road over here will split off towards the Drown Farm, which will probably turn into a little temple or something like that. And then, of course, as I mentioned, we're going to be adding a pyramid out in the distance here. And we're actually getting pretty close to that area. So I figured this is a good area to kind of cut off, draw the line where the farmlands end. And then today, this is where we will be working. Now, I don't remember who had mentioned it. And again, I love interacting with all of you down in the comments. I appreciate your feedback and all your comments. And of course, your support. So a lot of you have given great suggestions, and I have definitely have considered all of them, and I've even applied many of your suggestions into the building here because, as I said, I'm no creative builder here. I'm just trying my best to get by. And right now I'm looking for some sandstone because I don't recall who mentioned it or how long ago it was. I just recall someone mentioning that I should place sandstone within some of my builds just to show that wood was in short supply around here, which makes total sense. That definitely makes sense, which I didn't even consider that. Now, with sandstone, as I mentioned, transitioning last episode from the sand to the grass was going to be a little thing in itself, so I'm not quite sure how this would look in this type of area. So again, it's all green. And I know I had that issue in the very beginning when we were creating the base over there, which is why I ended up using that stripped oak wood just to break things up a bit. So, I mean, it doesn't look... I don't hate it. It's just now I don't want to go back and switch everything else up. But hold on, let's try to break. Let's use our axe. Let's be smart here. And see if we use that. That could look good. You know what? I think we'll try that. I wasn't quite sure. I thought it was gonna look worse than how I imagined, but yeah, I mean, I kind of like that. All right, so this is a sample house, and this was going to be a spot where I was going to place a house anyways. So I tried the birch, the strip birch, and I wasn't loving it. So just so we can take another look at it, let's go ahead and grab the axe. That's almost broken. And we're going to place in the birch, and it has a slightly different texture than the stripped oak. And I don't know, it's lighter, but I don't know how to explain it. What I was really worried about was using the spruce, because we were using that as kind of like the little slats that come across right here, and then the little binding. I guess I can't think of any proper terms, like usual, to explain that. But I was wondering, and I broke the axe. And I don't have any more birch wood, and that's the thing too, is that I have to go out and find birch wood, which I don't have a lot of. But I do have a lot of oak. So let's just try to throw this birch right up here. Mixing with that, that actually looks kind of cool too. And I think I'm liking the birch, only because it is lighter and I feel it blends better with the sandstone than the oak does. And it doesn't seem to be a bad transition from the color of the spruce doors to the birch. So when we get into the city, this is kind of how I'm going to be doing things. Of course, it is going to be more detailed, so this is very, I mean, there's no details whatsoever. It's just a flat wall. I guess my idea behind the whole village area and the reason why I use wood is because the way I was thinking about it was the sandstone would be more permanent fixtures. So I'm not quite sure. I haven't done my homework on how easy it was to get a hold of sandstone back then or to build houses like that. But in my mind, wood was more, I guess, breakable, not as long lasting as say sandstone. For like I would build a temple or the pyramids or cities, I feel like the sandstone would be something that would last longer, whereas using wood would be cheaper and then is more prone to molding, breaking, and all that stuff. But then again, they also, whoever that was, brought up the good point that wood would probably be scarce in a desert setting. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess this is where I overthink things too. Like I said, kind of that perfectionist type where I start overthinking everything. I definitely overanalyze a lot. And yeah, maybe I just need to decide on something. And the cool thing about this is, again, it is going to have a sci-fi twist to it. So, I mean, it's not going to be straight up ancient Egypt. It is going to be inspired by that. So, I mean, we can say pretty much whatever we want. We're setting the rules for this place. So, let's say if I want to have a volcano right there. I mean, I could have a volcano if I wanted to, right? When we get into the city, I will be doing more detail. So, for example, this will be the wood coming across this way, for example. And it's not going to look like that because that doesn't look good. But, you know, I'm going to have that, and then I'm going to have some details inside. So, like, upside down stairs, just to give it some depth and things like that. So, going back to the village, that's what I was talking about. So, I wanted the village to be more like it was just thrown up. Like, very cheap, not a lot of detail, you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm going to have to get birch. I might do oak for now, because if I do birch, I'm never going to finish this episode in time. Now, I have the frame of this house set up, and I wanted them to be slightly different in size. So, yeah, I might keep that one a 3x3. This one's 3x4 or 4x3. Well, the building itself is 4x3. The whole build is 3, 4, 5, 6 by 5. Yeah, okay, numbers. And I'm really loving the fact that we have all these different slabs or these trapdoors now. I think I mentioned that before when I first started doing this. Whoops, missed. It definitely allows us to do a lot more with our creativity. So I'm using oak fence posts, and then what I'm going to do is, I guess, throw some temporary blocks there. Come up, and it looks like I'm going to have to sleep again. And then we grab our spruce trapdoors. And normally, I was going to use brown carpet. Yeah, brown carpet for this. And I might in certain areas. But like I said, just this, having the texture and everything like that makes it look really good. So, whoops. As I was saying, having the spruce trapdoors definitely helps out a lot with... Oh, that's right, I made this a little bit bigger than the other one. I thought 12 was going to be enough. Yeah, so having the different textures, again, trying to get back to what I was saying, definitely helps out with our builds and things that we want to do. And like I said, I'm excited to get into the city, because it's not going to be as plain. I do need to go out to... I do have coordinates on a mesa, which I think is like 10,000 blocks out or something like that, so that's probably going to be a little journey in itself. But I'm going to grab some clay there, and then like we did inside the base, I know it's been a while since we've been in there, but if you remember, it has a clay trim going across the top, so I'm going to do that for the city over there. Like I said, make it look a little bit more fancy than, for example, the village houses. Again, the village houses are just going to be something very cheap that, you know, the villagers put up just so they have somewhere to lay their heads at night. Nothing fancy, no fancy carpets or stuff like that. Do that, and then we do fence posts inside. Oh, okay. Yeah, and of course, I mean, I should hold off on that because we're going to make everything birch, but I just want to get an idea of how things are going to be. Yeah. Looks good, and we just have one more house to do. So the birch trees weren't as far as I thought they would be. I thought they would be where the world spawn was, but there was actually an island along the way that I could see from the coast right here, and it had some birch. So I went ahead, I got some birch, I planted some birch trees here. You can see I've already chopped a few down. And then we're going to do this house the proper way. So I want to try to do it out of birch. So I have that all set up for the frame. And then we're just going to go ahead and finish up this house. And then we'll go ahead and see what it's supposed to look like. As I mentioned before, I can be a little over analytical, and that seems to be the issue right now because, like I said earlier, I was loving this, but as I'm building, I'm having second thoughts. So I added some sand in here for some texture, but I'm running into the issue that I had a concern about before, and that was the color of the spruce mixing with the sandstone and the birch. Now, don't get me wrong, I feel the sandstone and the birch go well together, or the strip birch, but then there's kind of a big difference in color here. So as we look up here, I replace all this with birch. It kind of looks weird as compared to the oak. I feel that that transitions better with the spruce. Now, again, I would really appreciate your feedback because this is going to prevent me from making any decisions here. I'm probably going to be stuck on this for a little bit. So actually, before the series started, I was in a creative world of this map, and I started building out in the desert for ideas of my city. So I don't know if it has to do with the sandstone being on the grass. That might have something to do with it. And that is also another reason why I built out of wood, because I feel like it blended with the environment a little bit better. Ooh, messing up my words today. Can't talk. So yeah, I'm gonna have to take a look at that. Yeah, let's pop over to that world and take a look. So this is the world before I started Endergate. So I was looking through different seeds, seeing which one I wanted to do. So what I did here was do some mock-ups. So as you can tell, this is the Shadoof, the very beginning of the farmlands that we started. So I was playing with my different waterways that I could do here and just blending things in. So, and also my trails, I was doing that too. So I have to figure out, I don't want to have spoilers. There's spoiler alerts here. I guess you're going to see it. Yeah, so you can see where I've been checking things out, where I've marked things. So that's how I kind of prepped for this. And yeah, here's the city, and hopefully, no, we don't want that to generate. Okay, we don't want that to show up in the background there. So this was my idea for the city. Now it looks like here I've used brown carpet and just some different variations of the houses I wanted to create. So you can see we got a little bit of a lip in here, or an indent in the texture. And then, man, it's been a while since I think I checked the date on this file. It was, I think, August the 24th. So here were some ideas. So we have, there's no wood on the corners. That might be the issue right there then. No wood on the corners. And I'm looking at this now. I'm really looking forward to. We'll look this way. We're gonna look this way. Looking forward to all the textures we're gonna get because, as I mentioned before, it'd be sweet to have some smooth sandstone stairs, and I believe that would help the texture out a lot. But we can see, yeah, we can see all the things that I've been. I gave it away. I'll let you see it. That is the idea for the pyramid. So, yeah, might be a little bit bigger than that. And this is what we started out with. So this is now the farmlands. So this is the area that I turned into the river that wraps around in our beginning farmland area. And then everything over here is everything that we've built up. So the dock was in this area here. And then what we're building today is actually in this spot. So yeah, I can see how this has come together. And we are back in Endergate, the actual survival series world itself, as everything generates in. So yeah, I mean, it was really cool seeing how far this project has really come along. As you saw, all of this was desert, and I just haven't realized how much work has actually been put into this place, because before, like I mentioned, I had to strip out all the sand and then place it in with grass and then do all this decorating. So quite a bit has been done, and you saw where I wanted to put the city, and you saw the mock-up designs that I wanted to do out in this direction. And you kind of saw where the pyramid was going to be. Now, like I said, I think that's going to be a little bit bigger. And now that I've seen all that, I'm super excited to move on from this area. So now I really want to finish this area up. But like I said, there was no wood in the corner. So I think that is what's throwing it off for me. So what I think I should do then and I didn't want to because, like I said, I wanted to make this look as cheap as possible. So I didn't want to have anything fancy, but I'm thinking now, maybe I need to have... And I also use brown carpet instead of the spruce because I think when I started, I don't remember when we got the textures like that for the slabs, or I keep calling them slabs, for the trap doors when they had each wood variant of the trap door. I don't think it was out yet, or else I think I would have used the trap doors maybe. I'm trying to sleep here, so yeah, that definitely looks better that way. So again, yeah, I would really appreciate your feedback. I know I spent a lot of time talking today and going through all my ideas, and I think we're all out of time. So I'm going to end the episode here. And in the meantime, I would like to hear all of your feedback. And then after I see your feedback, I can start gathering some resources and start building things up. And then in the meantime, I'm going to keep decorating. And what I want to do is run a trail. It's going to run through this. Obviously, these birch trees won't be here. I'll run a trail through here. And then it's going to go back down into this area that takes us down to our storehouses. Now, with that being said, making this sandstone, I feel like I would need to switch all this up now. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. And I can't run anymore. Yeah, I think this is a good place to end. I have a lot of thoughts going on, and I don't want to bore you with all the thoughts going on in my head. I need a solid plan, and like I said, I do want to finish this area up as soon as I can so we can move on to our future projects that I'm super excited to start. With that being said, everyone, this is the end of our episode. I really hope you guys enjoyed. This has been Rogue Fox, and I'm out. I'll see you later.